Welcome to My Weekly Mixtape, a podcast that takes the classic mixtape approach to building a modern playlist. I'm your host, Brian Colburn. Joining me tonight as guest curator is Patreon mixtaper Brandon from Virginia. Brandon, pleasure to have you on the show, man.
It's great to be here, Brian. Looking forward to it.
Well, as a first-time guest, I'd like to start by asking you, what does the word mixtape mean to you?
That's a good question. Thinking back, I was the kid who always had their Walkman on the school bus. I listened to a lot of Zeppelin 4. And then, we weren't really making mixtapes because I had so many records from my brothers. But then a friend of mine gave me a mixtape that had, it was Misfits and Iron Maiden on it. And that was like a whole new world for me. It was like, wow, all this other music that I've never heard before outside of the standard rock norms that my family listened to. And that's kind of opened me up to everything I listen to now.
Awesome. Well, tonight's topic is a pretty unique one, inspirational rock songs. So what were you looking for in the bank of songs you brought to the recording tonight, along with the obvious caveat of being inspired, of course?
I was looking for, different genres of songs. Rock is a pretty expansive, a lot of music fits into that. So it wasn't just punk, wasn't just standard rock, but there's a lot of places we could go with this mix. So that's really what I was looking for, is where could we go? Because there's so many places. And keeping it out of gospel would have been really easy, a lot of religious music. So I wanted the different types of rock, just what gets you pumped, whether if you're on a bike ride or working out, or sometimes when you're having a bad day, what brings you out of that bad day?
Awesome. I love the approach. Mine was very much the same from a musical perspective. Everything from classic rock to punk and metal and all of the in-between is in my list. But lyrically for me, I was looking for songs that sparked some kind of inspirational tone without being too on the nose. Although I'm sure there'll be some people out there that when I mention some of the songs that I picked might think they're on the nose, but depending on where a song hits with you, we'll certainly leave that open to interpretation and discussion.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that.
Well, let's get down to business. As I mentioned at the top of the show, Brandon and I will be curating the ultimate inspirational rock songs mixtape, and we're going to use the old cassette deck approach. Brandon, as my special guest, will begin side A with his first song choice, and then I'll add a song that I feel best follows up that choice. We'll then flip-flop choosing songs until we've mapped out 10 songs for side A. We'll then give our mixtape a proverbial flip, and we'll map out side B, only this time I'll kick things off with Brandon choosing second. Our overall goal for the episode is to craft the best inspirational rock mixtape possible through only 20 songs. At the end of the show, you can take our conversation to the next level by visiting the episode page at myweeklymixtape.com to give our final mixtape a listen via the embedded playlist. And if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or the way Brandon has done, becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/myweeklymixtape. There you can find ad-free episodes of the show, gain early access to future My Weekly Mixtape episodes, chime in on upcoming topics, become a future guest, and so much more. And several of the Patreon mixtapers chimed in with songs they would use to kick things off tonight, and I want to give a quick shout out to a few of those. Seeker chimed in with Peter Gabriel's Don't Give Up, saying he takes these words to heart, but also particularly Kate Bush's Responding lyrics, where she's reassuring the protagonist. Philip Bergman chimed in saying that he's tempted to throw in some of the Christian rock he listened to during his prepubescent phase and wasn't sure if Owsley's Rise is quote-unquote rock enough for our definition, but that he really loves that one along with Firehouse's Hold the Dream. Ed Kennard said Frank Turner's Get Better definitely springs to mind for him. Sean Goff chimed in saying the first song that popped into his head was Alley in the Jungle by The Hours, saying the song amps him up. Chad Lamassa chimed in with Sister Sparrow and the Dirty Birds Fight. And Tom Hutchinson chimed in with The Price by Twisted Sister, saying how wonderful of a song it is. Once again, if you'd like to chime in on future My Weekly Mixtape episodes, come join the fellow mixtapers at patreon.com/myweeklymixtape. Now, Brandon, with those picks out in the atmosphere, I'm officially pressing the record button on our mixtape, and the floor is yours. What song are you using to kick off the inspirational vibes with?
You know, those were absolutely great picks, and I think only a couple of those were in my bank, but I'm not using any of those. I'm starting off with a song that really kicked off thrash metal for me. Going with Suicidal Tendencies, You Can't Bring Me Down.
Nice.
That was the first track on Lights Camera Revolution from 1990. I was probably a sophomore year of high school when that came out, and that was a total boom, that record. Suicidal evolved from really skate punk to thrash metal when Rocky George joined the band. And then Robert Trujillo joined the band. That was his first record with them and really pushed out the rock, pushed out the funk, which later turned into Infectious Grooves, that side project between him and Mike Muir. But that really was just like, you can't bring me down. And it reminds me of getting home from work, being pissed off at your manager. You've had a bad night, putting that on in the car on the way home, like, no matter what, you can't mess me up. You can't bring me down.
Love the pick, an album opener to start things with, so bravo on that. Anybody who grew up watching MTV's Headbangers Ball back in the day remembers this iconic video of Mike Muir in the electric chair. Again, like you mentioned, this was the first Suck 10 album to feature Robert Trujillo, now of Metallica, on bass. And it was that bass insanity throughout that album, especially during Send Me Your Money, where Mike goes, now give me some bass. Doodly, 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 doodly. That whole part made me a fan of Robert's playing. And an interesting fact about this song, You Can't Bring Me Down was nominated for Best Metal Performance at the 91 Grammy Awards, except they lost to, in an ironic sense, Metallica, whose cover of Queen's Stone Cold Crazy took the prize.
And that is a great cover. And it's also funny, was it the year before Metallica lost to Jethro Tull?
Yep.
Best metal performance.
That is something I will never forget, sitting there. They had just finished performing one, and then they came off. You're like, you know they're going to win it. They're like, Jethro Tull. And at that point, I actually turned and said to my father, who? And my dad goes, I love Jethro Tull. You don't know Jethro Tull? And we turned the Grammys off because I was heartbroken at that point. That was the only reason I was tuning in. And he put on the Aqualung album, and I'm not going to lie, I became a fan of Jethro Tull that night, although I'm still mad about And Justice for All getting the snub. But the other three nominees that year for Best Metal Album, you want to talk about a time capsule. Anthrax's Persistence of Time.
Great, great, great.
Judas Priest's Painkiller.
Oh, fantastic.
And Megadeth's Rust in Peace. What a year for metal music that was.
Absolutely. Yeah. Played all of that so often. It was just a great year for metal. I mean, there were so many great albums that came out from like 90 to like 95 that just really hit the ground running.
Yeah, and lyrically, the line for the song that speaks to me is, stand up, we'll all sing along, together ain't nothing as strong, won't quit, we ain't in the wrong, you can't bring me. All right, well, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't have anything that heavy in my list, but I think the way to bring us out of that is to keep something that is definitely hard rock and definitely heavy, but bring it down slightly, especially from the thrash range, and bringing it into something a little bit more modern and something that lyrically truly speaks to me. I brought my whole family to see this group last year, and this was the closing song of their set. And the lyrics, be a fighter, backbone, desire, complicated and it stings, but we both know what it means. And it's time to get real and inspired. When you've got two younger kids listening to rock music with you, sometimes having lyrics that lift them up and make them feel strong and make them feel powerful resonate with me. And Shinedown's Cut the Cord from 2015's Threat to Survival does just that. Brent Smith has said both, and I quote, "Cut the cord is the statement to the world that you will not give up, you will not give in, and you refuse to fail. And that it's a wake-up call reminding us all that we can control our own destiny by finding the courage and tenacity to destroy whatever is holding us back. The song reached number 4 on the Billboard US Bubbling Under Hot 100 and number 23 on the Canada Rock Chart. This has always been one of my all-time favorite Shinedown songs. And back in 2019, my wife and I got a free evening out up in New Hampshire. My father-in-law said to us, "Hey, Brian, my neighbor's selling Shinedown tickets. Do you know who they are?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a big fan." He goes, "Call her right now. She's selling them less than face value, and they're great seats." And they were certainly great seats because there was a section that was general admission, and then there was a little bit of a rise in the slope of the venue, and then there was a divider, and then there were front row seats. And that is where my wife and I sat for Shinedown's set in 2019 at the Bank in New Hampshire Pavilion in Guilford, New Hampshire. And I captured one song in the night, and it was Cut the Cord. And I have that video. I will embed it on the episode page at myweeklymixtape.com because, yeah, this song just every single time does it for me.
You know, Brian, I will have to say I have heard 0 Shinedown songs.
Really?
Really? Yeah. There's like a point, like, so my first son was born in like maybe in 2004. And from like 4 to like 2015, I really heard no new music at all.
Just Baby Shark.
Not Baby Shark. Maybe They Might Be Giants, maybe Bare Naked Ladies.
Yep.
Some of the other stuff. But it was like, if someone from Shinedown walked into me, I wouldn't even know who they are. So I'm going to have to check that out. I'm absolutely going to have to check that one out.
Honestly, if I were to tell somebody you need to check out some songs by Shinedown, it would be this song, especially going for the vibe we're going for tonight for Inspirational Rock. It would be The Sound of Madness, and it would be Unity. Those 3 songs, if you don't like them, Shinedown's probably not for you. But if you do, you might have a new rabbit hole to go down.
Oh, I'm going to have to check it out when we're done.
So now we've got track 3. What are you going to follow that up with?
Track 3. You know, we could continue on that big rock sound, but I'm going to go to another direction here since we have so many opportunities within rock to go. I'm going to go with ska punk.
Oh, you have my attention.
I'm going to go with ska punk. And one of the originators of the ska punk sound, it's a band named Operation Ivy.
Nice.
They're from Berkeley. They were pre-Rancid, pre-Green Day. There were just 4 kids playing in Gilman Street, which was a kind of a co-op, a club out in San Francisco, Berkeley, where all the kids would play. And it was a togetherness atmosphere. But the song I'm going to go with is a song called Sound System.
Nice.
I don't know if you've ever heard Sound System or not.
Yes.
Tim Armstrong goes by Lint, and Jesse, who are the main songwriters for the band, write about how music can just bring you together and bring you up. And, you know, you click on the radio, you hear the song that brings you up, and there's nothing like when you put on the radio and that's the song that gets you going. And this is a perfect ode to that, how music brings it together. Operation Ivy split before they got signed to a major label. They actually decided that we're not going to go major. We're done. And if you dig into Tim Armstrong's history, he actually went down a really bad addiction situation after Operation Ivy broke up. But his friends intervened, got him back. He and Matt Freeman joined together, formed Rancid, and then he really became Tim Time Bomb, as he's known now, within Rancid, and has, Time Bomb Records, he's writing, what was it? Matt Freeman said he writes a song every day. He's just turned his life around and is known as a godfather within the punk world.
That he most certainly is. Box in my hand, music by my side, skanking to the rhythm of the music by my side. The second song on 1989's Energy, which was only released on vinyl and cassette. Boo. However, if you snag the 1991 compilation, which is probably the album most people have, called Operation Ivy, came out on Lookout Records, you're covered because the entire Energy album is on there. That's the one I think most people recognize when they think of Operation Ivy. But I know exactly where I'm going to go from here because you brought up ska punk, you brought up Tim Time Bomb, you brought up Time Bomb Records. So I am going to go with my daughter's favorite band who's on Time Bomb, and that is going to be the Interrupters and title holder from 2018's Fight the Good Fight. You got to fight like a title holder, stand like a champion, live like a warrior, and never let them break you down. I've taken them to see them twice so far. My youngest knows every word to every song, and there's something about seeing her sing songs like this one that as a parent put a huge smile on my face because she's empowering herself through these vocals. She's not putting herself down. She's not knocking herself or saying she's not good enough. These are songs that prop people up and make them feel stronger and make them feel more powerful and give them inspiration. I know that's the topic of tonight. But seeing the first time we saw them, she was 10 years old, sitting on my wife's shoulder, singing every single word to this song. And how can you not get a tear in your eye as a parent? Because she's up there feeling like $1 million because of a song like this. There's no way this wasn't making the list tonight.
Oh.
And coming out of Op Ivy, you made it so easy for me.
Oh, that feeling of, as a parent, that's definitely one, having a little one on your shoulders at a show. We did this years ago at the Kennedy Center, and we saw, this is not on the list here, but we saw They Might Be Giants do a show at this Kennedy Center. They have this little area called the Millennium Stage at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., and They Might Be Giants played there, and it was like taking your kids to a huge rock show. Streamers, lasers, everything, and they just were having such a blast. Till now, this past summer, we took our kids, now that they're 16 and 20, to see the big Green Day Smashing Pumpkins tour, the Saviors tour.
Yes.
And that's what it was like, just watching them, singing every word, and just feeling that connection to your kids, that connection and that inspiration of seeing your kids enjoy something you enjoy.
Amen. 100%.
But I'm not going that same direction. I'm going to move away from ska punk.
I was going to say, what are you going to do for track 5?
So, Fight Like a Title Holder, you're saying that, and made me think of a completely different genre. Completely different. I'm going to go that swampy rock sound you get out of Austin, Texas.
All right.
There's a band, I don't even know how well they're known outside of Austin. It's a band named T-Bird and the Breaks. They've put out some releases. They went dormant for a while, but now they came back this summer. And this song is Just Like Rocky is the name of the song.
Nice.
So when you put in Fight Like a Title Holder, all I could think of was, what's next? Just Like Rocky. And this song, he calls out, "Yo, Adrian," talks about Mickey. And in the background, you hear some horns. And all you can think of is Bill Conti's Gonna Fly from the Rocky films. And the lyrics of that song is, no matter if you're going down, fight like Rocky, because you got to come back. You've got to come back. Come on. You got to do it. Come on, Rock. He keeps saying throughout the song, like Mickey was saying to him during the movies. The Rocky movies were like Rocky 1 through Rocky 3 was, through Rocky 4 even, was like 79, 80 through 86 or so, I'm going to guess. John Avelstock did that first film, and it was just changed the game. And Rocky became Americana. And that first movie really wasn't anything like 3, 4, was it Rocky Balboa? And it really didn't come back till, the Creed movies, where it was more an intimate picture. It got bigger and bigger, but those were great films. And to have someone like T-Bird and the Breaks call back to that was just, that's got to go after title holder, because we're talking about Rocky and no one else.
Well, as someone who's a huge fan of J.J. Grey and Mofro, you had me at Swampy Groove, and then you bring in the horn section. These guys are right up my alley. Lyrically, you've got to reach deep down into the pocket of your soul, pull yourself a diamond from a pocket full of coal. Oh, God, I'm half tempted to go with a J.J. Grey and Mofro song to follow up T-Bird and Breaks and kind of stay musically in that atmosphere. But you've given me such an easy pivot point. I can't pass the lob up. It's a golden opportunity. We got to work the Rocky angle here. And you mentioned Rocky 3, Rocky 4. I could go with Eye of the Tiger. I could go with Burning Heart. But when I played high school football, our coach had a cassette that he would put in for every workout. And he would always start it from the beginning. And the first song on that tape, so I heard this song 3 to 4 times a week, every week for my junior and senior year in high school, was Robert Tepper's No Easy Way Out from the 1985 Rocky IV soundtrack, as well as the title track to Robert's 1986 album. The song actually reached number 22 on the Billboard US Hot 100. Some things are worth fighting for. Some feelings never die. I'm not asking for another chance. I just want to know why. You can already hear it. You're singing it. Even though I'm talking, you're singing it. There's no easy way out. There's no shortcut home. There's no easy way out. Giving in can't be wrong. You brought up Rocky. We had to go down the Rocky angle. And there's something about this song, no matter how 80s it is, every time I hear it, I get nostalgic. I'm literally transported back into the gym, lifting weights with all my friends. And this song to me will forever be timeless.
So was that the training montage scene in Rocky IV?
There
in
was
Russia?
definitely training montage song as well, but this was used in the movie as well.
Yeah, because there was definitely, I think of Rocky and through Eye of the Tiger, through this one, there's always a training montage. There's absolutely always a training montage. This even gets parodied in Wet Hot American Summer, which is a great movie if you haven't ever seen it. You've seen it, of course.
Well, it has everybody from the state in it. Of course I saw it.
Yeah. So, that's even parodied now, and to the point where I'll put on anything remotely in my house near that, and my 16-year-old will say, "That music sounds like it was written specifically for a training montage, specifically for the end of a movie." I'm like, yeah, it probably was.
I was going to say, don't show them this movie yet if they're only 16 and under, but Team America, World Police, the montage song from that movie.
I have looked for that. I can't find it streaming anywhere. Maybe it's on Paramount. That's the one service we don't have.
It might be, but that soundtrack is absolute gold. The montage song, we need a montage. All right. Well, montages aside, we are up to track 7 on side A. Where do we go from No Easy Way Out?
So I'm going to go, and you talked about high school football, and I think I've even seen this in a high school football scene from the TV show Smallville. Do you remember that? It was like Superboy, Superman, but not yet Superman. And I was blown away when I actually heard this song on a mainstream TV show. And it's Social Distortion's Reach for the Sky.
Nice.
From 2004's Sex, Love, and Rock and Roll. And it's, the lyrics, once I thought I was invincible, but now I find myself thinking twice. Never thought about the future. It was just a roll of the dice. But then he finds his way out, needs to learn to reach for the sky. Mike Ness had a hard life. Addiction, jail time, members of his band's dying. But with this song, it's like, I've got to carry forward. I've got to carry forward. And when you go to their shows and they play this song, everyone is singing along because it's such an emotional song. It tells everyone you've just got to keep reaching for it. There's an acoustic version out there. I can't say I might have downloaded it from some service at some point. Doesn't exist right now on any streaming service as far as I can find. But it's acoustic guitar, an accordion, and it just evokes that yearning to move ahead, that yearning to reach for the sky. That's what this song does to me.
So if you please take this moment, try if you can to make it last. Don't think about no future and just forget about the past and make it last. 2004's Sex, Love, and Rock and Roll. I played in a punk band at this time. And all anybody talked about at any of our shows was Green Day's American Idiot, because that was the year of American Idiot. And I get it, it was a big, massive album. But Sex, Love, and Rock and Roll was probably one of the most underrated punk albums. And I feel like because of American Idiot, this album got a little swallowed up. The song only reached number 27 on the Modern Rock Tracks chart. It's, for me at least, a top 3 Social D album. I love this album so much. Nickels and Dimes, Footprints on My Ceiling. This album is so friggin' solid. And I'm shocked it wasn't a bigger album. And it's one that I go back to so often because there's a lot of hindsight on the album, and there's a retrospective nature to this album that I think was missing from some of their 90s and 80s stuff.
I agree with you on that. I mean, like, Ness takes a long time to put records together. He's not in the studio all the time. Like some artists will bang out a record once a year or every other year. It takes him a while to get to that. And he's just so specific about what he wants to write about and just takes his time to get the songs there. I don't think they've had a new album out in at least a decade, but he's just writes these great songs. He doesn't need to release anything new, in my opinion. He just writes these great songs and he can just keep touring on them, like almost like who was like Steve Miller, who just keeps touring in the same songs and doesn't need to change a thing. Mike Ness is like that too. He doesn't need to write another song for any time. He's got a great collection of songs.
Couldn't agree more. Now, and I also got to point out that Reach for the Sky, just like Title Holder and You Can't Bring Me Down, all album openers. So I love that we're going down that road. And since we have, now I could check off another box and drop a cover song in here. But it's not a cover song that most people would expect from me, because the original is from 1945 and the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical Carousel. And then you might know the 1963 version by Jerry and the Pacemakers. The song is called You'll Never Walk Alone, but to keep in the punk spirit of Social Distortion, I am going with Dropkick Murphy's version from 2017's 11 Short Stories of Pain and Glory. Walk on with hope in your hearts, and you'll never walk alone. The first time I heard this, I'm like, how do I know that song? And I looked it up. I'm like, son of a bitch, they redid something from Carousel, and would not expect it, but it works so friggin' well. The lyrics really hit home, and then they hit home a second time when the band played it during the COVID lockdown free live streams they were doing. So that took on a whole new meaning there. And I feel like there's definitely some inspiration there. So coming out of Social Distortion, keep the punk vibes going with Dropkick Murphys. You'll Never Walk Alone.
So I grew up listening to a lot of show tunes. My father, we listened to a lot of music growing up, as you can tell by, all my choices here, but country, rock, and then show tunes. My dad loved show tunes. So Camelot and Man of La Mancha are, when I was like 7 at my brother's bar mitzvah, I asked if they knew a song from Camelot. I asked that of the band. I think I was the only 7-year-old asking for show tunes. And then Man of La Mancha, holds a special place, reminds me of my late father. So having this and hear a punk version of You'll Never Walk Alone, like, whoa. And when I first heard this song, it wasn't from Carousel or Jerry and the Pacemakers, but it was from Pink Floyd.
Ah.
Pink Floyd incorporates the Liverpool Football Club fans singing You'll Never Walk Alone in their song Fearless, and that's on Pink Floyd's Metal.
Yes.
Wow. That's the craziest thing ever to hear a punk version of that.
And I will say this, Sean Faust, who's been on the show many a times, is smiling right now listening to this episode. Huge Pink Floyd fan. I had a chance to jam Fearless with him in his acoustic Pink Floyd tribute in the past. And it's one of my favorite Pink Floyd songs. I didn't even have that in my notes, and I'm kind of kicking myself for that. But thank you for bringing that point up. I will not look back on this episode and regret it now. But now we are at track 9. What is your final song for side A?
We grew up around the same time. We're only a couple years different from each other. So there's a few movie touch points. We already talked about Rocky. but I'm bringing up another movie touch point for boys growing up in the 80s, and that was the Transformers movie.
Oh! You beat me to the punch.
Yeah. So, Stan Bush's The Touch.
Yes.
So, my older son is deep in Transformers lore, watches all the shows, knows the history of much of the line. I took him recently to see a band named Cybertronic Spree,
Yes.
who dresses as the Transformers. And of course, they play The Touch, and they play Dare from that soundtrack also. They do Dare to Be Stupid as well, but it's like that power 80s rock. But that song, The Touch, you've got the touch, you've got the power. When all hell is breaking loose, you're right in the eye of the storm. It's that point where you've got this. You can do this. You've got it. No one else got it but you.
All I can think about is Hot Rod becoming Rodimus Prime and me wiping the tears out of my eye when Optimus Prime died. I have this theory about the original movie, and I've talked about this before, but one of my best friends and I, we did not know each other during the 80s growing up. And in college, we watched the DVD of Transformers the movie, and when Optimus Prime's death scene happened, I paused the movie and I said, "Can I just ask you a question?" And his eyes lit up as if I was about to say something that was like a prophecy. And I said, "When this was in the theater, did you remember him?" And before I could finish the sentence, he goes, "He turned to dust." And we both jumped up like, "How the hell did you know that? We didn't know each other back then." For decades, I have been saying that in the original movie, Optimus Prime turned gray and then turned to dust. And I've tried to find any proof of this. And I have no idea if it's just one of those things where you thought the Flintstones, the way it's spelled.
So the Mandela effect for Optimus Prime. Well,
Yes.
I have the DVD downstairs.
He does not on the DVD.
He does not. He just turns
gray.
gray. He just turns gray.
But the Return of Optimus Prime cartoon was not done yet. And I have this theory that so many kids cried the way I did in the theater when he did turn to dust that they removed it from the DVD in future pressings and put out that episode to calm us all down and stop our therapy a little early. That's my opinion.
You know what? What is the phrase? If that's your headcanon, just go with it, Brian.
Right. And I guess we can't mention The Touch for some of the younger people listening without mentioning 1997's Boogie Nights, because depending on your age,
Oh, yeah.
if you knew none of the Transformers talk we did just there, I'm sure you remember Boogie Nights. All right. Well, to close out side A, you definitely scooped The Touch from me. So before we waste another moment, I know exactly how we're closing out side A, and it's going to be another 80s montage song. And with the power and the head of steam that Cobra Kai has had for the last several years, we're going Joe Esposito, You're the Best from 1984's Karate Kid soundtrack. Never doubt that you're the one, and you can have your dreams. You're the best around. Nothing's going to ever keep you down. Definitely a montage from the All Valley tournament in the Karate Kid. We had to go hella 80s there for the end of the side. I just couldn't think of any other song to come out of The Touch that even quite matched that energy besides You're the Best.
I would say that we definitely hit the 80s on this side.
And I will say this, You're the Best followed up No Easy Way Out on my coach's workout mixtape. So another one that, again, I hear the song. Yes, I think the Karate Kid, but I'm also right back in the weight room, 1994. So had to go with that. But that Mixtapers concludes side A of the ultimate inspirational rock songs mixtape, which consists of Suicidal Tendencies, You Can't Bring Me Down, Shinedown's Cut the Cord, Operation IV Sound System, The Interrupters Title Holder, T-Bird and the Breaks, Just Like Rocky, Robert Tepper's No Easy Way Out, Social Distortion's Reach for the Sky, Dropkick Murphy's You'll Never Walk Alone, Stan Bush's The Touch, and Joe Esposito's You're the Best. Head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page. And now I get to kick things off for side B. And I actually think I know how I'm going to kick things off. Normally, this would be a song that I would put at the end of a side, but starting a side with this song, I think is unique because it feels like a closing song. And in reality, it is a closing song because it was the last official song that Freddie Mercury sang on a Queen album while he was alive on this earth from 1991's Innuendo, The Show Must Go On. Reached number 40 on the US mainstream rock charts, number 16 in the UK, number 75 in Australia, number 7 in Germany, and number 2 in France. The show must go on. I'll face it with a grin. I'm never giving in. On with the show. The fact that this man sang such a powerful song as he was staring death in the face is so profound to me. It serves as I obviously it's the name of the episode, but it serves as inspiration. It puts life into perspective. And this past year, I had to deal with open heart surgery, and I was struggling for a lot of 2024 from both a physical and mental standpoint. And when this song would come on, because I listened to nothing but music to try to get me through, this song just hit a different way for me. And I got to talk about the recording of this song because Brian May, I'm going to read a quote here. Brian May told Total Guitar Magazine about the recording of this song. Freddie Mercury just heard it. And now at this point, Freddie Mercury was very weak. His vocal range was not very good. And he was very concerned with how high he was going to sing because it would destroy his voice. But after hearing the tracks to this song, and this is the quote from Brian May, he said, "I'll fucking do it. Don't worry." He downed a couple of vodkas neat, then propped himself up on the desk and worked his way through singing all of that song. And it was amazing. I think he did 3 or 4 takes, and he obviously smashed that vocal. It's like he reached into a place that even he'd never got to before. And I'm going to leave it with that.
So you're leaving me with that one. What can I say about that? What can I say? What is the phrase that gives me all the feels? That song, Queen is still such an influential band. They're still touring. They have that one guy now. Who's the one guy?
Adam Lambert from American Idol.
American Idol, yeah.
He does a fantastic job. I have a Blu-ray of him doing The Show Must Go On, and he nails it.
He does. But the funny thing is, like, when Bohemian Rhapsody came out, that's when my kids started getting into Queen. And then Queen with Adam Lambert was on tour. And so I asked the kids if they want to see it. My younger said, no, I don't. If Freddie Mercury's not there, I don't want to see Queen. I only want to see Queen with Freddie Mercury. I mentioned the Green Day show.
Yes.
And before Green Day took the stage, they played 2 songs. One was Blitzkrieg Bop, and then they play Bohemian Rhapsody. Everybody sang along. The entire crowd sang. And then Green Day took the stage. And those are the 2 perfect starting points for a Green Day show. You have the punk and you have the bombacity and the stage presence of Queen. I can't say that Billy Joe at all sings like Freddie Mercury or carries the stage like Freddie Mercury, but it was a perfect way to begin that concert.
Oh, the inspiration is definitely there.
Yeah.
You can't listen to American Idiot and not hear some, at least, tip of the hats to Queen.
Now, wish I was following up with that one, but I'm going with the same vibe for my next song, same rock vibe, maybe not the same Show Must Go On vibe, but I'm going with The Dead.
Oh,
The Grateful Dead, presence in my house growing up ever since like the late 80s when In the Dark came out.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 older brothers and both of them immediately turned into Deadheads. So thinking about what Grateful Dead song inspires me, and it's got to be Estimated Prophet.
Nice.
My time has come any day. Don't worry about me. No, it's going to be just like they say, the voices tell me so. That's just the verses, repeats that over and over again. It's like, the show must go on. My time's going to come. That's where my brain went with this. And I will have to say, though, this isn't the album track that I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Dick's Picks Volume 15, which is recorded at Raceway Park in Englishtown, New Jersey.
Yes.
So that is one of the seminal recorded versions of that song. I've read that the Dead really didn't like the album track.
Hmm.
So they stretched it out, made it how they wanted to sound. Like many Dead songs don't really come alive until they've played it in several shows and get the song down right. And also, it was a song that it's not in 4/4 time. It's a crazy time signature, and it's not rock at all. I can't even tell you what it is. It's just estimated.
It's the Grateful Dead in front of 102,000 people. Obviously, if you're from New Jersey, this show is familiar. September 3rd, 1977, Raceway Park with New Riders of the Purple Sage and the Marshall Tucker Band. For me, I grew up in New Jersey, so Englishtown, the flea market's been there since forever. If you listen to any radio stations in the area, you might remember the commercials for Raceway Park that they would play with the
Absolutely.
chipmunk.
Yep. Absolutely, my
Raceway
friend.
Park. Yeah. It was on the radio nonstop. I love this song. I like the lyrics you chose, but for me, like an angel standing in a shaft of light, rising up to paradise, I know I'm going to shine. Oh, it's like perfect.
So what do you got, Brian? Where are we going to continue on with?
All right. Tapping into that angel type vibe that I used in my lyrics right there. I'm going to go with something that's not a gospel song, but lyrically could be seen as one. And we're talking New Jersey here, so let's just tie it all together and go with Bon Jovi's Keep the Faith from the album of the same name. The song reached number 29 on the Billboard US Hot 100, number 1 on the US mainstream rock chart, number 5 in Canada and the UK, number 10 in Australia, number 2 in Greece, and number 1 in Norway and Portugal, among others. Lyrically, you know you're going to live through the rain. Lord, you've got to keep the faith. Don't you know it's never too late? Right now, we've got to keep the faith. Instead of me talking more about this song, episode 54, the Ultimate Desmond Child Playlist, Volume 1. Desmond Child wrote this song with Bon Jovi, and he tells an amazing story about it. I'd rather point people to go listen to that episode because it's coming from the guy who put the pen to paper for this one. And he paints such a picture. He puts you into the writing of this song. So I highly recommend going to listen to it. But following up Estimated Prophet brings us a little bit out of the classic rock vein. And as soon as you mentioned Englishtown, New Jersey, it was like, oh, New Jersey, keep the faith, Bon Jovi.
Yep. We're both New Jersey boys. I guess I'm considered an expat now. I've lived in Virginia longer than I've lived in New Jersey.
Yes.
But we had to include Bon Jovi. There's another person we always have to include if we're talking New Jersey, of course. But, when I moved down here, when I moved in 98, I moved down here to the DC area in Virginia. And people would find, oh, you're from New Jersey. So, do you like Bon Jovi or Bruce Springsteen? And I would always tell everyone, my age and younger, they like Bon Jovi more. My age and older, they like Bruce more. And everyone has a story. I grew up on the Jersey Shore area around Asbury Park, Red Bank. So Keensburg, Bon Jovi's from Keensburg, lives now in Navesink. So people would see them everywhere around town. You would see people would talk about how they saw Bruce when he played the fair before the band started. People talked about they would know Bon Jovi from playing bars. But then when people ask me, who do I like more? I would always say, I like the Smithereens.
Ah, nice.
But I'm not going with the Smithereens. I am going with Bruce. I'm going with Bruce. And there's a specific song, and I may get teared up as I'm talking about this. So, my oldest brother survived 9/11. He was in the second tower hit. He was at the top working for AIG. They evacuated the building. He and a couple coworkers decided they were taking the stairs, going down. So they start going down, and they gave an all clear. A lot of people went back to the elevator to go back up. My brother and his coworkers looked at the line of people in the elevator and said, we're going to walk all the way down. We'll get the elevator at the bottom. We're already walking. He got out, and he survived it. He's one of the few. There weren't that many people from AIG that survived 9/11. He was one of them. So it was early. It was maybe like winter 2002. driving with my middle brother to go meet up with our oldest brother and for a guy's weekend up in Pennsylvania. And we're just talking, and I'm getting choked up now. And my brother Rob, my middle brother, puts on The Rising. And I just lost it. We both cried as we were driving up the New Jersey Turnpike. Because it's just, can't see nothing in front of me, can't see nothing behind me, making my way through the darkness. On my back's a 60-pound stone. On my shoulder, a half-mile line. Some people say he wrote it actually about another city, wrote it about Asbury Park, but it became about 9/11. That's what the song's about for all of us who grew up at that point in time.
Well, one, I am thankful to hear that your brother was one of the lucky ones in this tragedy. Call it divine intervention, call it whatever it is. I was at that exact moment on a bus heading into the city to go to my job in radio, watching everything as you come around the bend from the Lincoln Tunnel, like kind of right over the water there. And I just vividly remember people trying to kick the windows of the bus out, trying to jump out of the windows of a moving bus with the bus driver saying, "We're turning around. They're not letting people into the tunnel. You don't need to kick the windows out. Everyone try to stay calm." And about a week after, maybe within the first 10 days, they did the America Tribute to Heroes concert. And they played My City of Ruin. That song was about Asbury Park. But from that performance on, it's always been about 9/11 to me. Same thing with The Rising. The song reached number 52 on the Billboard US Hot 100, number 94 on the UK singles chart, number 9 in Romania and Spain, number 6 in Italy, and number 5 in Norway. None of that matters. This song, at least for people that lived through 9/11 in this area, The Rising became, I want to call it an album of therapy for people that lived through this firsthand. Whether it was meant to be or not, it just became that. Come on up for The Rising. Come on up, lay your hands in mine. Like, there was a point in New York City beyond 9/11 where everybody lent a helping hand. The days following, the weeks following, there was a love and a friendliness in New York City that's long since been forgotten. But working in the city at that time and having to be there because I was in radio covering it day in and day out, and it was the most surreal time. Obviously, a song like this, as inspirational as it is, we got a little serious here, but there's something about this album that just, it transcends a lot of Bruce's catalog, at least for those in the New Jersey, New York, Connecticut area. I don't know how this album resonates outside of this area, but I'm kind of locked into this because I've lived in New Jersey, all except for my couple of years in North Carolina. And yeah, I really don't have a way to pivot out of that. I'm just thankful that your brothers was able to make it through this, that he was safe. And I guess I'll take this moment to all the people that didn't make it. We still never forget. And pivoting from that, this is going to be tough. I'm going to try to go to something. It's really hard to come out of this song. And I'm looking through my list, and I think we're going to keep it mellow, but go with a song that is a little obvious. It's a little classic rock. It's a staple. But I think musically, coming out of The Rising, it'll make sense. And then lyrically, it'll bring us to a little bit of a happier place to continue on. And I'm going to go with Aerosmith's Dream On from their 1973 self-titled album. Reached number 59 on the US Billboard Hot 100, number 87 in Canada. Rolling Stone ranked it number 199 on its list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. And in 2018, the song was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. As far as I'm concerned, one line sums up the whole song for me. You've got to lose to know how to win. Cover songs, I always love talking about covers when possible. Eminem, it's not a cover, but he interpolated the track on Sing for the Moment in the 2000s. And then in 2017, Blacktop Mojo delivered a killer rendition of the song on their Burn the Ships album. If you haven't heard that, It's definitely worth checking out. And hopefully that brings us to a little bit of a different place to continue on here.
Well, I will say again, as a New Jersey expat, growing up, what was the rock station? WNEW FM.
Yes, 1027.
1027. Growing up, listening to them, Dream On, Walk This Way, and always hoping they'd play another Aerosmith song. But until they came around with Love and Elevator, those were the two songs you heard from Aerosmith. And I'm like, well, why can't they play Big 10 Inch? Like, well, maybe the FCC would find them with that double entendre. And I didn't learn until recently that was a cover song.
Yes.
So, yeah, so I'll add that in about Dream On, is that, a lot of us, no one thought Aerosmith was going to get back together and do what they did. Dream On is such an iconic song for them. And then Run DMC hit with Walk This Way and kind of built them up. And then Aerosmith came back with Permanent Vacation and just blew them all up again. Aerosmith was dead. Till they came back because of Run DMC.
And I will also point out again that Desmond Child episode. We talked about Dude Looks Like a Lady and Angel, all the stuff that Desmond wrote with Aerosmith as well. Guy has 4 songs that have over 1 billion streams on Spotify. To put into perspective his songwriting power.
Over 1 billion streams between
4
those 4
different songs.
4 different songs. Wow. And how much does he make off of that, you wonder?
Well, on Spotify, 1 billion streams is what, like enough for a cup of coffee, maybe?
Pretty much so, I bet.
All right. So what are you going to follow up for track 6?
You know what? I'm looking at the back of songs, and I could go with classic rock again. We've hit a lot of classic rock. We could carry on. I was thinking Carry On My Wayward Son from Kansas, maybe Miracles Out of Nowhere, also from Leftoverture. But I'm going to go back to New Jersey, and I'm going to bring us a little closer to the pop side of rock. We're going to go back to New Jersey with Jack Antonoff and the band Fun.
Nice.
Carry On flows between rock and pop, but it's my choice. It's the song Carry On from Fun. It's a bit slow, but the chorus, if you're lost and alone or you're sinking like a stone, carry on. May your past be the sound of your feet on the ground. Carry on, carry on. It's just, again, you may feel low, but you've got to carry on. You've got to carry on.
You hit the nail on the head with the lyrics, the same lyrics I would have used if I was talking about this song. And I guess you could say Jack Antonoff has been a little busy given his work with, Taylor Swift and such, but more than a decade ago, this song helped make the statement for why he is so busy now. And the song reached number 20 on the Billboard US Hot 100, number 18 on the Canada Top 100, number 44 in Australia, and a respectable 126 in the UK as well. But I like that you went a little pop with this, a little pop rock. And I'm going to go with a song to follow up Fun that also stays in that vein, but brings in a little bit of the pop punk sound, a little bit of emo thrown in. I don't know, in the 2000s, pop punk, emo, it all kind of got lumped together. And this is one of those groups that some of their songs had the pop punk sound, and then some of them had a little bit more of an emotional vibe. And that's this one, the title track from their 2005 album. We're going to go with All American Rejects' Move Along. Reached number 15 on the Billboard US Hot 100 and the Canada Top 40. And it also hit number 42 in the UK and number 73 in Australia. When all you got to keep is strong, move along like I know you do. And even when your hope is gone, move along just to make it through. That song I have listened to so many times. I listen to it during workouts. Yes, it's not a song that's going to get you pumped up and bench pressing 500 pounds, but when you're doing a run, there's something about the tribal drum beat in the song and the chorus. There's a togetherness in the song, and it's very, I know it's the title of the episode, but it's very inspirational. It fits right into that it just makes you feel like you're not alone. That's a big part of this episode, I think.
Absolutely. When I bike to work and back, this song comes on, and it's just, there's points, again, like you're saying, you're on a run. It's got that right beat to it. It just gets your pedals moving, gets your feet moving, and gets you that extra mile. It's one of those songs that just can keep you moving.
All right. Well, we are starting to get to the end of things here. You have 2 songs left and I've got 1. So what do you have for track 8?
What I got for track 8, we're gonna stick some of that emo vibe there and go with Jimmy Eat World
Nice.
and the song "The Middle."
Uh-huh.
And there's a line here, and this came out in 2001. But if I heard this in middle school, this song hits exactly how it felt. That second verse, hey, they're all the same. You're doing better on your own, so don't buy in. Live right now, just be yourself. It doesn't matter if you're good enough for someone else.
Amen.
If someone said that to me in middle school, it would have been like, thank you, I needed that. So it's just sometimes those songs, again, sometimes it just hits you like, this is what I needed to hear right at this moment from someone.
I have been covering this song for close to 20 years now in various bands. And I am not going to lie, the lines that you just said, I enjoy singing so much in this song because I always, like clockwork, when this song is played, people are singing along with you. And there's something about that verse that really resonates with people. So I know you said people could use that in middle school. I think people could use that now. And I think lyrics like that still resonate and still hit home, which is why every time my band starts with the dun, 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 people lose their shit. The song reached number 5 on the Billboard US Hot 100, number 2 in Canada, number 49 in Australia, and number 26 in the UK. I'll go ahead and say it. It is a modern 2000s anthem. Yes, I said it, because when we play this song, people sing along with this song just as much as they would if you pulled out a Sweet Home Alabama or a song from classic rock lore. There are people that are in my generation that truly resonate with it, but there's also the generation after me that know the song because of us, and there's the generation after us, the millennials, and even my kids know and love this song. It crosses boundaries, it crosses age groups, and it's something that brings a lot of people together.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Arthur. You know what? Talking about it, my hair on my arms is standing up on end because it's just that kind of feeling. The song is Someone Gets Me, and that's so hard at various points in your life that, am I all alone? Is it just me? And then you hear the song like, no, someone gets me. Someone understands what I'm going through right at this moment.
And that is the power and beauty of music. And for my last song of the night, I'm going to stick with this Colbert and Company theme here because the middle always goes over well. And when people are singing along with that song, I'm going to go with a song we like to follow it up with because it's another sing-along. But it falls right perfectly smack into this side of music that we've put together here. And it hits a little bit of the classic rock vibe and a little bit of the rock vibe we've been talking about. And I am going to go off of my favorite artist of all times, 1989 solo album, Full Moon Fever. Tom Petty's I Won't Back Down reached number 12 on the Billboard US Hot 100, number 1 on the Billboard Mainstream Rock Chart, number 5 on the Canada Top Singles Chart, number 16 on the Australia ARIA Chart, number 28 on the UK Singles Chart, and also hit number 66 in West Germany and number 49 in New Zealand. Well, I know what's right. I've got just one life in a world that keeps on pushing me around, but I'll stand my ground and I won't back down. Soon as you get to that, hey baby, everybody in the room stops what they're doing. Their glasses up in the air, and it's one united voice. Episode 95, the ultimate Tom Petty playlist with Kevin Brown from the Tom Petty Project. If you want to hear a lot about Tom Petty, go listen to that episode. I won't say if this song makes it or not, but it's certainly making it tonight because we're talking inspiration. And because I have followed up the middle with I Won't Back Down so many times in the set list, it just works perfectly here.
I didn't even know that. Total serendipity here.
Yeah.
Again, Full Moon Fever, it came out of that Wilbury sound, went right into Full Moon Fever. He still got Jeff Lynne there. And that's a seminal album for so many people. I don't know if I would have gone with Running Down a Dream from there, but again, I Won't Back Down. What was that movie? It was Barnyard, where it has the character, it's the bull is singing it. And I think it's Johnny Cash that they used singing I Won't Back Down. I'm not positive.
In the movie, it was sang by Sam Elliott, but there is a Johnny Cash version of that song.
Yeah, it's a comedy movie. It's a kid's comedy about, animals in a barnyard, but the strong father character is sitting, strumming a guitar, protecting the animals before the coyotes come and try to get them all. And he's singing, I Won't Back Down. And it's just like, that's the feeling right there. I'm not going to back down at all. No matter what comes to me, I'm not going to back down. And that, I don't know where I pulled that out of, by the way.
Well, Brandon, we have been all over the spectrum from fun stories to emotional. This has been a roller coaster of an episode. And you get to take us home with our final song choice of the night. What are we closing the ultimate inspirational rock songs playlist with?
So I brought up radio. I brought up the sound system and how important that is to bring you up. But sometimes you just put the radio on and you've got the feeling of, I'm done with this. I'm heading out. I'm leaving this situation. Put the music on and let's go. And that's also an inspiration sometimes. So was thinking about that. And there's a New Jersey band. They're an underground New Jersey band. I think they had 2 or 3 major label releases.
Oh, I think I know where you're going.
And this band is From Good Homes.
Yes.
No, I talked about my older brothers. My brother Rob is definitely the one who is estimated. He's definitely the deadhead. And also my oldest brother John was the one who had that first From Good Homes tape. Grr was the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually got released on CD and on streaming, but it was impossible to find anywhere unless you dubbed it. And I believe Radio On was on it, but this was on their second release as well. From Good Homes, they got overshadowed by the Dave Matthews Band. They both struck it around the same time and had major label deals at the same time and made a similar sound. So I think Dave Matthews overshadowed them. But From Good Homes, if you're from northern New Jersey, you know this band. You've heard this band. You may even been in a bar watching this band play. You've got the mix of bluegrass, you've got the rock, and it's just this song is, I've got the radio on, cussing everything I own, dreaming in a long dark night, but I got the radio on. I've got the radio on.
Well, I don't know where I'm going, don't know what I'm doing, but I know I'm not going back. Love the pick. Back in my Tune Styles days, Jay Sweet and I had Patrick Fitzsimmons on the podcast to talk about From Good Homes and their legacy and their reunion shows. I love this band so much. Back in 2011, my wife and I went to go see them in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania at an event called Steel Jam. It was at the Steel Stacks in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And it was them, ALO, Lubraphonic, Humphreys McGee, a bunch of different jam bands. And before From Good Homes came on, I ran into Todd Schaefer before the set and I just shook his hand, got a picture with him and said, hey, Todd, I just want to let you know that for the last couple of years when I've been doing my solo acoustic gigs, I've been playing Maybe We Will at my shows. I hope to hear it tonight. I love singing along with it. And he just shook my hand, thanked me so much, was surprised to hear it. And they went on stage and did their set. And for the last song of the night, he kind of looks down at the stage for a second and he goes, before the show, I was talking to this guy, Brian, and he said that he covers Maybe We Will. So, Brian, why don't you come up on stage and perform the song with us? And this is on YouTube. I will embed it on the episode page at myweeklymixtape.com. I got to sing Maybe We Will with From Good Homes. I got to dance around like an absolute jackass on stage. I actually, in the studio where I record, I have a photo that a professional photographer took of me on stage with them. I was next to Brady Reimer, pretty much the entire song. Jamie Cohen from the band was kind enough to play violin on some songs from my album, Forever Was Worth the Wait. Like, these guys mean so much to me. They did so much in the New Jersey community. I'm so thankful you closed with this because it's such an amazing song. And yeah, that might have been the single most fun live performance I've ever done in my entire life, getting to sing with those guys.
So, Brian, I saw them many times. Like, I've seen them play on Sandy Hook at Clearwater Festival. I've seen them at the Birch Hill.
Yes.
At the Birch Hill, I've seen them. And the only time I saw them down here, there used to be this club in Georgetown called the Bayou. And that was an iconic club. There's even a documentary you'll find maybe on some of the PBS streaming apps. You'll find it. The Bayou was an iconic club. And I lived down here in the last year before they closed it down and saw From Good Homes there. And, they ended the show on a jam starting with Franklin's Tower and just went in and ended with Born on the Bayou. But Todd Schaefer changed it to Burn Down the Bayou because it was the last it was the last few shows at the club. And now it's an AMC movie theater.
Oh.
Yeah.
And now the Birch Hill nightclub is townhouses and condos.
Oh, man. There are so many stories we could trade about that place.
As far as I'm concerned, take Paradise and put up a parking lot, right?
Absolutely. That all the venues, Club Benet, long gone, Oh, and look, even, what was it, Nazareth Park, the Saint just got knocked down too.
I've played the Saint. I played Birch Hill. Like, these places are ingrained in my New Jersey DNA. For those of you that are listening to this that are not from New Jersey, I apologize, but these venues obviously hold a special place in both of our hearts, being from this area. But more importantly, there you have it, folks. Side B of the Ultimate Inspirational Rock Songs mixtape, which consists of Queen, The Show Must Go On, Grateful Dead's Estimated Prophet, Bon Jovi's Keep the Faith, Bruce Springsteen's The Rising, Aerosmith's Dream On, Fun's Carry On, All American Rejects' Move Along, Jimmy Eat World's The Middle, Tom Petty's I Won't Back Down, and From Good Homes' Radio On. Head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page. Well, Brandon, first, I want to thank you so much for being a part of the Patreon Mixtaper community, but more importantly, thank you for joining me on the show tonight.
Ryan, it was my pleasure. I know I felt like we probably went a little too far down the New York, New Jersey, tri-state area rabbit hole, but, music brings you back to your youth. I've read that, heard Alan Cross talk about it a couple times, that time frame between like age 15 and 25 are the most formative years when it comes to what music you'll be listening to. And where was that? New Jersey for me, just like you.
Well, thank you very much for being a part of the show and look forward to having you back on again down the road here.
Have a good night, Brian.
And you as well, my friend. And to those listening, remember you can find My Weekly Mixtape on almost all the social media haunts at My Weekly Mixtape. You can also head to myweeklymixtape.com to check out the full catalog of My Weekly Mixtape episodes. And if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or like Brandon here, becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/My Weekly Mixtape. There you can find ad-free episodes of the show, get early access to future My Weekly Mixtape episodes, chime in on upcoming topics, become a future guest, and so much more. That's all for this week. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, enjoy the tunes.